Just do the intro, Glenn. Just do the fucking intro. Hi. So, this is some song. Now, I reserve the right to put these on at any point again because I'm 40 years old and you don't need to see me cry on YouTube. One thing I want to touch on before I start is there is loads of lore in this new album, these new songs. But behind that lore and behind this story that we've been both fed and have created in many parts ourselves about vessel and sleep, of which, of course, I'll be referencing, somebody wrote this. A man sat at home, sat at a piano, wrote this about an agonizing relationship that they were in, about the culmination of years of disparity between two people. There is vessel and there is the man behind the mask. Often when reviewing music and lyrics, you have to remember that in order to balance this. About a personal experience that has been turned into something enormous in this Sleep Token lore. The trilogy of Trauma, the 3 albums that preceded even in Arcadia, were about balance. That's what it's always been about. It's been about dark and light. It's been about, even in Arcadia, you will follow me still. There is no real paradise. Paradise itself is a paradox. There can be no light without the dark, and that's a really common theme that's been in Sleep Token before this. But at times it has been agony. And that leads us rather nicely into the penultimate track from even on Arcadia. The one I was terrified of, and slightly with good reason, it seems. The agony in the Garden of Gethsemane. According to Gospels, the Garden of Gethsemane was where Jesus prayed after the Last Supper. And when he knew his fate was coming, he prayed to God and basically asked, do I have to do this? And if I do, thy will be done. According to the Gospel of Luke, an angel came down and prayed with him, and that's where he sweat blood. Of course, we know in the story of the Bible, he was subsequently arrested and crucified, and that moment led to a lot of the formation of what we know now in the Western world, frankly. So even in the title of this song, there is already agony associated with it. All right, let's do it. Sounds like bombs in the distance.
If you were wasted, but you were trying your best, and that's the thing I tell the others. I was your robot companion, you were my favorite color, and
you can look at this from 2 perspectives here. You can look at it as, you know, a love song from the person who sat at a piano and wrote this, as we talked about before. But from the lore perspective, this feels really heavy. I wanted you to know I've learned to live without it. This is a callback. This is almost like mentioned before in another Sleep Token songs, somebody picking up the phone and going, hi, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but this is a little call to let you know. There's a little bit of a vibe of that earlier on in this, where I wanted you to know I've learned to live without it. Even though it's colder now, you can accept the cold for the lack of destruction, I guess. I love this idea of there being others. It makes this much more human. It makes it much more of a, when you break up with somebody or when you're broken up with, obviously your friends rally round you, and there you have a choice then. You have a choice to either go with this or to go, no, I get it, or maybe it's stuff you need to work on or the other person needs to work on. But the idea that what you're telling your friends, there's no burying going on here. You never listened to me. That may be a negative, but later on, he mentions again, you were trying your best. So there's no burying going on here. Also, with that line, you never saw me naked, you wouldn't even touch me except if you were wasted, it conjures up this idea of there was intimacy, but it wasn't intimate. There was sex. There was a physical thing that they had together, but it didn't feel for one person like it did with the other, that imbalance that's always been there, and the trying to find balance that Sleep Token is all about. And I was your robot companion, you were my favorite color. the disparity between the technological side, the digital side that Vessel is so often alluded to as being the only way he's going to combat the gods, becoming more digital, becoming more technological. The idea that that's all he was, a technological body in the passenger seat. But that wasn't what it meant to him. Ah, bit of math rock. Swancore. That Midwest emo. Oh, this is cool.
Call upon the person that tried to turn my salvation for you. Someone who didn't mind the push for all the games. Someone who wasn't always crying on the journey back. Someone who didn't feel the low blows either way. But I was waiting for you when all along it was you with the countdown kill switch, and it was me with the blindfold on.
All right, fucking hell. There's a level of disassociation with these lyrics. I'm caught up on the person I tried to turn myself into for you. So this person that Vessel created, someone who didn't mind the push-pull parlor game, someone who didn't mind being kicked in the bollocks repeatedly and saying, thank you, please may I have another. The way he says the line, crying on the journey back, there's real emotion on that. I want to listen to that again.
Try to turn my salvation for you. Someone who didn't mind the push for all the games. Someone who wasn't always crying on the journey back.
Oh, the grit and the push of the more human voice into the crying. Oh, that's good shit.
Someone who didn't feel the low blows either way. But I was waiting for you when all
Tremendous lyric.
it was you with the countdown kill switch, and it was me with the blindfold on.
The beautiful lyricism of the person that you were in love with all along, or that you were besotted with, was ultimately your executioner.
I was trying my best, and that's the thing I tell the mirror. I was in love with the thought that we were in love with each other. What might be good for your heart might not be good for my head. What was there at the start
Fucking hell, Bess.
might not be there in the end.
Right, let's talk about the significance of the mirror. The idea of reflections are used quite a lot in Sleep Token songs, but never more effectively than in Do You Wish That You Loved Me from Take Me Back to Eden.
My reflection just won't smile back at me like I know it should.
The idea that Vessel is losing perspective with the man in the mirror, the reflection just won't smile back at me like the way it should. Again, that possible sense of disassociation, or that separation between the man behind the mask and Vessel. I have to say that I think the line, I was in love with the thought that we were in love with each other, is one of the most poignant lines that Sleep Token have ever written. Because I feel that line almost encompasses everything that has been spoken about in the last 3 albums, now 4 albums. The idea of this imbalance in the relationship, but it comes from somewhere. One person, one deity, wanting sex, wanting the fulfillment, wanting to have their cup filled by the other person, while the other person is constantly emptying theirs. But the self-awareness of both the man behind the mask and Vessel to have the idea that, oh, I get it. I was in love with the idea that we were in love with each other. These lyrics are fucking wonderful, man, because again, we're talking about balance, the balance of heart versus head, the idea that you might do something because your loins, your bones require it. But is it the right thing to do for, for your mental health, for your life?
Do you wanna hurt me? 'Cause nobody hurts me better. Do you wanna hurt me? Do you wanna hurt me?
Oh,
Nobody hurts me better.
that one note in the addition to the chord pushes it forward. We had that in Take Me Back to Eden, the song. Every time we were pushing forward to ascending, we were calling a passing chord or a passing note that just leans us into where we're going next. It's a beautiful musical technique. That's very Deftones. Vessel loves to use an octave jump down to guitars. Whoa! That sound design is fucking huge. Screams panned all around. Oh, this is so fucking good. It's like screams coming through the ether. Is it sleep? Is it some response from sleep? You can hear those explosions in the background again. That soundscape sounded like It's a trap beat that sounds like military drums. My American friends can tell me if this is military drumming or not. Post Malone? It's got Post Malone vibes, right? So we're getting that repetition of those 4 lines over and over again. Came in like a dream, put it down like a smoke. So the idea that maybe Vessel was fascinating at first, but after a while you can put it down. I'll pick it up, I'll light it later, don't worry about it. Going from being this brand new toy for Vessel to play with to maybe just being, I'll access you whenever I want, you know. But it's almost talking about it retrospectively. I don't want to stick around, I just want to let you know. It's like that call from, you know, I'm just checking in, don't check in. Ooh.
But I would have given anything to get closer to you and all your enemies. I've got a few of my own, and this bone didn't come with a gun, so I got a different energy.
That's an amazing lyric.
The lights get low, I still hear you when I'm on my own. The parasites and the nightmares calling my name like this one's for you and your problems. You good day job.
I'm letting this roll. Gosh, that outro verse is incredible. No one's going to save me from my memories. Fucking hell. So if I can talk about lore for a second, this throne didn't come with a gun, so I've got a different energy. Is the idea that now Vessel has ascended, that he has his own throne. He's on the same level. They're sat next to each other. There was notions of that, and even in Arcadia, and even with the title of that we spoke about ages ago, even in Arcadia, you will be there still. I still see you when the lights get low. There's been this constant alluding to sleep always appearing in darkness, and even at the end of Take Me Back to Eden, we get, you know, in the low light, I can see the whites of your eyes in the low light. The notion that the parasites in his nightmares are calling his name, like, please just let me go. His own dreams are screaming, please just let me go, or his own nightmares maybe. They're screaming to be let go, but something just won't do it. That locked box just won't stay closed. And then we get this wonderful humanization or modernization of, you know, your good day job. But wasn't Sleep's day job being a god? Were they too cushy being a god, and that's why they didn't invest enough time in Vessel? Or from the man behind the mask, is this a very direct thing towards somebody who messed them around, who wasted their time? Over the last 3 albums, we've had constant jibes from both Sleep and Vessel from either side of this idea of show me what you're made of. You know, show me how far you can go. How deep can you really bite? I have to say that I think, again, this is one of the most poignant Sleep Token lines. I've learned to live beside it. And even though it's over now, I'll always be reminded. The acceptance that it's always going to remind me, no matter how much you try and lock it away, there's always going to be reminders of it. But the difference between learning to live without it and learning to live beside it. Learning to live without something is grief. Learning to live beside something is the acceptance that it has happened and that we have to move on. I feel like this is a final letter, a letter of goodbye. Maybe Gethsemane is a breaking point. Maybe there's only so much agony one can take. Or, alternatively, if you look at even the verbiage from the agony of Gethsemane, this idea that when speaking to a God, in both the Sleep Token and the biblical context, Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane was asking his Father for a reprieve, but saying, if you can't give me one, then I'll do what you say. The acceptance in this song seems to be, in the line, I will always be reminded. The acceptance is that you are always going to be a part of me. I think Infinite Bass tells us a lot more about where he is with sleep, but that's a video for another time. Managed to get through it without crying too much. Thank you so much for watching. As always, a like and a subscribe is deeply appreciated. But as always, but you're free range humans, you can do what you want. I'm not your mum. Interesting takes on the music, the lyrics, theories, much appreciated. Stick them in the comments below. It's Infinite Bass next. I'm not sure I've got anything left. I'll see you next time.